Good evening. Welcome to Fineprint. I'm Molly Gambhir. The 12th of June 2018 was a historic day to say the least. US President Donald Trump did what no other American president had done. He managed to get North Korea's Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un to the talking table. And now the two world leaders are meeting for a second time. The American president used his State of the Union address to announce the dates for meeting his Korean counterpart Kim Jong-un. Donald Trump will be meeting Kim in Vietnam on February 27 and 28. Declaring those dates, Trump added that the U.S. would be at war with North Korea if he wasn't the president. The finer details and the nitty-gritties are still being discussed about which city in Vietnam will host the two leaders, but Hanoi and Da Nang seem to be the front runners for now. The U.S. State Department Special Representative to North Korea, Steve Biegun, is heading to Pyongyang. Reports suggest he is likely to press for the North Korean counterpart to attend a series of working-level meetings before that summit. The presidential Blue House of South Korea, which plays a facilitating role between the U.S. and North Korea, has welcomed Donald Trump's announcement.
두 정상은 이미 싱가포르에서 70년 적대의 역사를 씻어내는 첫 발을 뗀 바 있습니다. 이제 베트남에서는 보다 구체적이고 실질적인 진전의 발걸음을 내딛어주기 바랍니다.
While Donald Trump pats himself on the back for what he calls tremendous progress in talks with North Korea, his own intelligence chief told the Congress just last week that they have no reason to believe that Kim Jong-un will give up his nuclear weapons. The U.S. intelligence believes the nuclear program is key to the survival of Kim Jong-un's regime.
We currently assess that North Korea will seek to retain its WMD capabilities and is unlikely to completely give up its nuclear weapons and production capabilities because its leaders ultimately view nuclear weapons as critical to regime survival. Our assessment is bolstered by our observations of some activity that is inconsistent with full denuclearization. While we assess that sanctions on exports have been effective and largely maintained, North Korea seeks to mitigate the effects of the U.S.-led pressure campaign through diplomatic engagement, counter-pressure against the sanctions regime, and direct sanctions evasion.
Since Trump and Kim's first meeting, serious doubts have been raised over whether Donald Trump can get Kim Jong-un to walk the talk. Trump and Kim's landmark summit in June yielded a commitment by Kim to work towards eliminating his nuclear arsenal. But satellite video footage taken since the historic June summit revealed that North Korea has a secret missile base and that it continues to produce nuclear materials at its weapons factories. Just yesterday, a United Nations report said that North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile programs remain intact. According to that report, North Korea is making sure that its nuclear and military capabilities are not destroyed by military strikes and that Pyongyang is using civilian facilities, including its airport, for ballistic missile assembly and testing. It said North Korea is making sure that its nuclear and military capabilities cannot be destroyed. In August, the United Nations nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, said that it found no indication that North Korea had stopped its nuclear activities. When the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo then visited North Korea in October, Kim Jong-un committed to dismantling and destroying his country's plutonium and uranium enrichment facilities. Kim said that he would do this in return for corresponding measures from the United States. It has repeatedly demanded that the U.S. must reciprocate with measures such as sanctions relief, but Washington has said it is not willing to lift sanctions. Washington has also called for North Korea to take steps such as providing a detailed account of its nuclear and missile facilities that would be inspected and dismantled under a potential deal. Let's go straight across for now to our correspondent, Kate Fisher, who's joining us from Washington, D.C. Kate, a lot of those issues need to be ironed out before the two leaders meet. Donald Trump hopes to extract pledges from Kim Jong-un, he says, without giving too much ground. But North Korea is yet to even declare a list of its weapons facilities or allow independent inspectors, which has been the primary demand that's been made by Washington all this while. How divided are the US government officials on what the expectations are from a second summit?
Well, I think the biggest division can be seen by what the president, Donald Trump, is saying and what his intelligence officials are saying. Donald Trump very clear that he believes that North Korea is no longer a nuclear threat to the world. He believes that there is now peace, now friendship between the two countries, and he believes that North Korea is beginning the denuclearization process. However, just last week on Capitol Hill, his top intelligence officials, the Director of National Intelligence and the head of the CIA, Gina Haspel, gave evidence to the US Congress, telling them that they believe that North Korea still intends to be a nuclear regime. It continues to work on its nuclear program. Gina Haspel, the head of the CIA, saying that they do want to create a long-range missile that would be able to reach the United States. They both said that this has not changed since that Singapore summit with Donald Trump. So there you have the division, the intelligence chief saying that North Korea really hasn't made much progress, whereas the president saying, yes, North Korea has made a lot of progress.
Indeed, and Kate, the US envoy to North Korea will be holding talks this week to finalize the agenda for that second summit. What are you picking up on what Trump's list of demands could look like?
Yeah, well, the Americans have been very clear. They want to see a full declaration of all those nuclear sites in North Korea, and then they want the North Koreans to commit to destroying them, and crucially they want to make sure that there is international observation of that destruction. They want it to be done under supervision so that there is verification that this destruction has happened. So those are the key demands for the United States. North Korea, for its part,
that's, of course, one of the many demands that US President Donald Trump will have. We're going to leave it there for the moment, Kate. Thanks very much indeed for joining us on the broadcast with the latest coming in from there. But that was just one of the many issues that the leader touched upon in that State of the Union address. It was a divided Congress, to say the least. The address lasted 82 minutes, during which the leader spoke about a range of issues, including building a border wall with Mexico, which has been a source of deep partisan divide in the U.S. He said that the border walls work and they save lives.
Congress has 10 days left to pass a bill that will fund our government, protect our homeland, and secure our very dangerous southern border. Now is the time for Congress to show the world that America is committed to ending illegal immigration and putting the ruthless coyotes, cartels, drug dealers, and human traffickers out of business. As we speak, large, organized caravans are on the march to the United States. We have just heard that Mexican cities, in order to remove the illegal immigrants from their communities, are getting trucks and buses to bring them up to our country in areas where there is little border protection. I have ordered another 3,750 troops to our southern border to prepare for this tremendous onslaught.
From China to Venezuela to Afghanistan, Donald Trump devoted a large section of that address to foreign policy, saying a trade deal was possible with China if Beijing agrees to real structural change. There, however, was no mention of the shutdown at all. Under Trump's administration, the U.S. witnessed its longest ever shutdown. which lasted 35 days and affected around 800,000 federal workers and federal contractors. Government employees missed 2 paychecks, but the president brushed the entire episode aside. On to Pakistan for now, where the Supreme Court earlier in the day slammed the army and the ISI, saying they should stay away from engaging in political activities. Delivering its judgment in the 2017 Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan sit-in protest, the Supreme Court also directed the government to act against those propagating hatred, extremism and terrorism. The court said, and I'm quoting, "We direct the federal and provincial governments to monitor those advocating hate, extremism and terrorism and prosecute the perpetrators in accordance with the law." The apex court also outlawed religious fatwas that aim to harm others. The verdict also noted that every citizen and political party has the right to assemble and protest, provided such assembly and protests are peaceful. But those who obstruct people's right to use roads or damage them should be dealt with in accordance with the law.
The Pakistani Supreme Court today gave the written verdict of the 2017 Faizabad sit-in case, a suo motu that it took, that the sit-in that had jeopardized the country, the capital of Pakistan, Islamabad. The Supreme Court, in its ruling, has written that the ISI and other relevant parties should be made to stay away from politics, particularly the military personnel. It has also advised the Ministry of Defense that the relevant services chiefs should be taking action against those military personnel who have been meddling in politics. It has also very clearly laid out the lines for freedom of press, and has also said that TLP should be held responsible for the loss and damage of public property. The two-member bench that was led by Justice Qazi Faiz Isa, who also penned down this verdict, was very critical of the military and particularly with pertaining to the freedom of press. He has also chalked down the misuse of authority by the government administrators with regards to punishing those who were involved in the 12 May 2007 massacre, as a result of which this act took place. For WION, from Islamabad, Pakistan, Anas Malik, World is One.